Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Back with another episode review of Blue Box as we have concluded the first season of Blue Box. And we did get a second season announcement. Whenever the second season is going to be coming, I don't know, but I will be there. I'm guessing the second season will consist of, I guess, more Taiki and Chinatsu content as they build their relationship to hopefully, I guess, get to the part where finally they are going to be an item and a couple. By the end of it, I don't know if the source material is still going on. I haven't looked into it or anything. I guess I probably should have looked into it to see is Blue Box actually still continuing. But that's where I am at currently. But it was, let's just say, okay, the finale was fine. I will say the way they ended it off was kind of just like, yeah, that's basically it. Outside of that, like, no, not really. It isn't like one big nice ending we have with Chinatsu and Taiki as they head on to their, I guess you can say, their date, essentially. Or like no monologue over Taiki talking about how much, Chinatsu means to him and how that he hopes that by the end of this he'll get with her. But regardless, that's kind of it. But if anything, this kind of episode was somewhat kind of closing up the Hina storyline here. And realistically, that's kind of like seemingly enough this seasons hold on. Like let me change my freaking video resolution. I know it sucks. Whoops. Don't want to do that. Video settings. Let me go into my video settings because my camera is working slow. Turn off the HD camera. Sadly, I gotta turn off the HD camera because the HD camera doesn't know where to work with me. That might mean I have to just stop using Zoom. Anyways, apologies for the janky camera angle and the stuff like that. Actually, let me see. Wait. All right. If I'm slow, I'm slow. Whatever. Screw it. Regardless. Um. Yeah, this episode was kind of closing off the Hina storyline. I think obviously with the whole fact that Hina now no longer is going to be a chance for Taiki, and that's kind of what we have in this episode. We kind of just focus on Hina on the standpoint of she's trying her damnedest to get over it, but it's clearly hard for her to get over it. And typically, when you get rejected like that, especially against somebody you truly do like and you truly did, have feelings for, it takes a while. And we see even by the end of the episode, like she's wearing that freaking like mascot mask, just basically to hide her tears because she doesn't want to see anybody, crying or see anybody see her crying, and especially doesn't help with the fact that she's basically practicing in the same gym as Taiki and Shinatsu. So, the fact that's like, okay, you kind of lost to your love rival for this guy you like, and you don't know if like this girl, your senpai like is actually got feelings for Taiki. Well, there you go. So we'll definitely see where that's gonna go right then and there, but it's gonna be interesting to say the least. It's gonna be interesting. So that's kind of what we do. So we kind of pick up where we last left off from last week, where you have it to where Ayumi just ran into Chinatsu, Hina crying, and she basically tries to comfort her, and she doesn't exactly know what to frickin' say. So she basically does the thing where she just lays these tissues out and just like, hey, use all the tissues you need and everything, right? And this is when she also finds out like, oh, Taiki rejected her, and the fact that Hina said like, well, he likes somebody else and everything. So that's the thing, and Honestly, another part of this episode that I kind of took away with was the fact that Ayumi kind of had this whole thing, and I guess you can say had this guilty feeling of the fact of like she felt guilty for being a little bit too involved, and she feels like, oh, it's my fault that the dude may have rejected Taiki may have rejected Hina. Um, but again, it kind of leads to this whole thing of her not understanding love truly and relationships. We see have it later in the episode. She does something to do cheer up Hina and get her out of the funk and make her feel better and kind of to make her just forget the rejection. And honestly, what Ayumi was doing for Hina was actually pretty good, right? Like she was trying to say like, hey, let's get your mind off this, thing. Let's try to make you get you in a better place where you can start the moving on process, right? Because really, right now with what we're at with Hina, her whole thing is she's now got to get to the point where she's taken the rejection. She's gonna go through her grieving state of the fact that she got rejected, and she's getting to this. She's gonna have to eventually get to the stage where she's going to have to get over her feelings about Taiki and move on and move on past those feelings and either just accept the fact that Taiki just doesn't like her, or just go find somebody else. And I'm hoping at some point somebody, whether it's her friend, whether it's Ayumi, or even if it's Taiki's friend, I forgot his damn name, Kyo, where he has a one-to-one conversation with Hina. It's just like saying like, hey, there's nothing you can do about it. If Taiki said he likes somebody else, well, you can't change the feelings despite you can't change his feelings despite how much you try to plead with him that you'll do this for him, you'll do that. If anything, that's going to make you even more unlikable to him, and stuff like that. So it also is going to, and also they kind of presented the part, but I'll get to it in a second. But you have the whole thing, and then you just have it to where Ayumi runs into an ex-boyfriend of hers, and it's like this dude, like his friend was like, who is this? Like, and he's like, oh, that's my ex. And basically, his whole stance was like, well, I thought she was different. I thought she was this type of girl until I started dating her, and she was actually a lot different than what I thought she was, right? And Hina kind of claps back at this guy. But to be honest, like, Ayumi's kind of in the wrong here. Like, again, we've known Ayumi to be established of the fact, like, you're not she like apparently like dates these guys for like maybe 1 to 2 weeks, and then she breaks up with them if it's not like her ideal guy. And her ex-boyfriend literally said like, I kind of hope you've learned, and I kind of hope you turn more into like your sister. And honestly, that's kind of, I guess, could be a storyline for Ayumi, going into the second season, of actually truly understanding love. Because she even asked Taiki later on in the episode of like, why would you do this? Like, why did you reject her? And Taiki's just like, look, like, it's because I like somebody else. Like, what else am I? I just can't. I had to let Hina know eventually because it was just making things weird behind. It was making things weird between us. And on top of it, Ayumi kind of judged him of saying like, how could you not care about her feelings about the way she's feeling? Like, she's like freaking crying, buckets of water because of your rejection. And Taiki's like, yeah, I know that. But I don't think it's good for me to like talk to her because clearly I could tell it's affected. And plus, it'd just be weird if I just go up to her and say like, hey, I know I rejected you and everything, and I know you poured your heart out to me, and I just said, nah, sorry, I don't like you like that. I don't think that's a good idea for me to be friends. Just go to ask her to like be my friend again and make things go back to what they used to be. And honestly, I kind of like this approach of Taiki. Like, we can clearly tell he wants to go talk to Hina and just make bygones be bygones, and he wants to be her friend again. Like, he just wants to be her friend. But he knows, like, I just can't walk up to her and just say that because I know it's, she really much liked me a lot. So I'm not going to go up to her and just basically, proclaim that, I liked her, or that we can still be friends and everything. No, Because typically it's kind of, especially when it comes to like these interpersonal friend connections things, it's kind of the whole thing of like, if a friend confesses to one another, it may take a few weeks, maybe a month or two, till eventually both parties get, over it. One of the parties talk to each other and say like, hey, I've gotten over what happened. Can we still be friends again? And honestly, I kind of hope that's where we're gonna go. At some point, I think either Hina or Taiki are gonna have to step up and just be like, "Hey, I know we can't go the route of like dating each other, but I really truly want to still be your friend." And I feel like that's gonna be at some point. It's gonna be Taiki. That's gonna be the one that just goes up to Hina and says, "Look, I really respect the fact that you really truly did like me, but I just don't view you like that. I just want to be your friend. And I'm tired of all like, our distance. It's really bothering me. And I want to be your friend and I want to talk to you again like we used to." And obviously that's up to Hina what she wants. She was the girl that got rejected. If she wants to be friends with Taiki, that's all up to her. And if she doesn't, well then she's within her right to say like, no, um, it really hurt me that you rejected me, and I think it's best for the both of us just not to be friends anymore and just, you know, kind of just be acquaintances. Just, say hi, how you're doing and everything, but we're not going to be interacting like we used to. So that's going to also be another story point with where that's going, right? Which, hey man, it would be pretty crazy if like at some point we do get that conversation and Hina does say like, no, I don't want to be your friend like that anymore. You hurt you hurt my feelings. And you can say like that's being a little bit petty and she does need to get over it. But again, my opinion is Hina has a right to say like she doesn't want to maybe associate with Taiki because it would just make her feel awkward and weird around him. And plus, maybe it would feel better for her to just say like, you know what, maybe it's just better we just end our relationship straight up here and we just go our separate ways and we just do what we need to do and we just or this if you say hi, I'll definitely say hi, but I kind of just don't want to be around you, kind of, right? And that's kind of the thing, that's kind of the awkwardness of like confessing to somebody that's your best, like I wouldn't say your best friend, but I guess you can say your best friend, but somebody that you're close to that is a good friend of yours, and you confess and say like I really like you, and then you get rejected, right? It makes your friendship weird to the point like maybe it's probably better off you just end that friendship and just say like, as much as I would love to stay being friends, it's probably best that we just stay apart, basically forever and just not associate with each other. So that's kind of the thing there. But Ayumi kind of realized that Taiki actually does care about Hina's feelings, and she can even see on his face like he was hurt to just tell her the truth and everything, and she can see like fuck, he actually does care about her. Wow. And I feel like this is this kind of thing of Ayumi truly understanding like love is not what she portrays it to be. It's a lot more different. It's a lot more complicated than she's, making it than she's making it out to be, right? And basically that's where it's at from that standpoint. And realistically, there's nothing she can do about it. Because you see how she tries to get involved, and if anything, that's kind of the thing. And I feel like that's gonna be the growth of thing of her realizing like love isn't what she says she is, and this fantasy that she says it is like it's actually like it can break, it can hurt you. Love is a bunch of things and everything, right? And Kyo basically is like, and Kyo again, like with last week, he's like, look, don't feel too bad about it. It's just you're really truly understanding about it and everything. Like, yeah, I agree with some things that you do say, but like, you really have to understand. And also, I don't know. This is the second week they kind of had this one-on-one connection and thing, and she's like, you're condescending, and he's like, really? Nobody's ever told me that. I'm wondering if they're going to set up a Kyo and Ayumi relationship. I don't know. It sounds like maybe they're potentially like having it to where Ayumi and Kyo actually might be the side couple in this. Because at first, if you remember a few episode reviews ago, I was thinking maybe Kyo goes after Hina, and that's the relationship she gets, right? After seeing the last few episodes, I'm starting to wonder if Kyo and Ayumi might be the relationship that might be happening, right? Where she truly understands and everything. Now, maybe this could be a moment where in the second season she goes up to Yusa. She tells Yusa, "I really like you," and everything, and Yusa's like, "I don't even know you like that, and sorry, but it's you seem like a nice girl, but sorry, I have no, I don't like you like that, right?" Or maybe she hangs out with him a bit, she confesses, and then he just rejects her. And then she could understand what it's freaking like to be in that same shoes, right? Um, so I don't know, maybe they're setting up a Kyo and Ayumi relationship. They've been like going back and forth with each other, and he's kind of just been like, hey, and things talking to her about things like that. So very much interesting there. But in terms of the Taiki stuff, he's just obviously overseeing seeing the reaction of Hina, and he knows like it's not good to talk with her. And he does have a match with Haruyu, and Haruyu ends up winning. And basically Haruyu actually says like, hey, I was actually scared that I would lose to you. And it was kind of a nice conversation that we see of Haruyu, because it's like it's clear that the losses that he's had as of late has really racked on his brain, and everything. And he saw that Taiki was getting better, and he's like, what the hell is happening with me, right? So it was nice to see that, and it's nice to see that even Haruyu, a guy that we saw to start off the show, who we thought was very good and a guy that we don't think could ever like lose confidence or feel intimidated, he actually felt those emotions, and to see and hear that was pretty cool to hear, because it shows like, hey, he can, even a guy who's pretty good can be vulnerable, and he can get in himself into basically a slump or or a rut. So really definitely do appreciate that whole standpoint, right? Really do appreciate that. And then kind of mostly the only other thing in the episode that was kind of a significance is Taiki basically goes up to, when they both get home, he's like, welcome home, and she's like, yeah. When he comes to Shinatsu, and he basically asks her out on a date, essentially. Now he's like, what? She's like, well, what do you want to do, or where do you want to go? Now, personally, if it's me, like, even if it's obvious, she's like, hey, I just want to go hang out and go get some lunch, or I want to go see a movie or something. If that's fine, or if you want to go hang out, there's this really cool theme park that it's opened up. I want to go with you. Let's have some fun. Rest and relaxation after our hard work, right? Or like, I guess you can say, even though it's kind of like you shouldn't do this, even if you're a guy, like I would have just been like, well, if you can't think something, like ask her to be like, well, what's something that you would like to do? You know, cause and he honestly could have played it off like the way it's like, well, we set it up, Kyo set it up to where we could go to the aquarium, and that was kind of my type of thing, right? And it was kind of forced upon you. So where did you want to go, right? But then again, I do remember she did want to go to the beach. So I guess in a weird way, it's kind of, yeah. But I found that quite funny, because he's like, what? Oh, she's like, and my dude's like, well, isn't going? I think going to an amusement park is going a little bit too strong. I'm like, dog. I'm like, at that point, you might as well just ask her to go to the amusement park. The way, least she could say is no, I'm busy or something. But I bet you anything that he would have said, she would have probably said yes. But he basically comes with this like kind of thing, like, well, I kind of need to go get this track suit, because it, worked over to the bone at the training camp. And basically, she's like, oh, okay, but can we stop by like this cafe, right? I wanted to see this cafe, and he's like, yeah, sure. So that's kind of the thing. And then basically the episode ends with him basically leaving and everything, and he's in a rush and everything. And basically basically they're like, the one dude's like, where is he going, right? And basically Harry's like, oh, he's probably going on a date. And the dude's like, what? Taki would never betray me and everything. But then Harry walks up to Kyo and is like, hey, do you know anything about this? And he's like he's like, well, all I know is he's in a rush to go see somebody. And he's like, And Haru's like, huh, that sly dog. He's finally shooting his shot, ain't he? And we just have it to where, Taiki hurries and he sees Shinatsu and she's looking up in the air or at the clouds and basically is like, what are you looking at? And Shinatsu's just like, oh, I was just looking at how fast the clouds are moving. And he just looks up and then boom, ending credits. So there's that. And then, oh, well, before that, they do look at each other, so that's the thing. And that's it. That's how the episode ends. I guess I wouldn't blame a fan if they watch that ending. They're like, that's the ending to season one. That's kind of anticlimactic. If anything, that's kind of a blue balls, pun entirely intended, ending right there. So yeah, now if like this show didn't freaking get greenlit for season two, well then yeah, you definitely can make this case like, okay, that's a blue balls fucking dick ending right there, because like it wasn't like that type of romance, anime ending where it's like, oh, it's like a special thing where it's like you don't know if we're gonna get a season two, we can only imply certain things, right? Or if it's just like, oh, we know we're getting a season two, boom, that's a great ending to way to end it off. But I will say it was kind of just an ending where they're like, well, we ain't got nothing here. This is where we're gonna stop for this last chapter, and that's basically it. We don't get like no monologue or anything and stuff like that, like over Taiki understanding, everything he's been through over these past 24 episodes and everything, and realizing what he's got to do now. It just ends abruptly with them just looking at the sky and the camera panning out. I'm just like, that's it. I'm like, as much as I loved Blue Box as a whole as a show, I will say the season one ending is kind of pathetic, if you ask me. Like, they could have done a much better job ending off season one. Like, you could have had this monologue where he looks back up and he looks back at Shinatsu and he could just be monologuing of like, this is the girl I fell in love with and everything. She's amazing and everything. This is the girl that inspired me. And I'm a better person today because of her, right? Could have had this whole thing, and he could have said like, "Hey, you ready to go to that cafe?" And then she could have just been like, "Yeah." Nope. We're gonna look off into the sky, and that's the episode and end credits. Okay, that's how you're gonna end it then. Okay. Yeah, but again, like I said, at least the good thing is immediately once the episode concluded, I didn't watch the episode at the time because I was working, right? But I saw my Twitter feed. Basically, they confirmed on the even the official Blue Box anime page, Twitter page, that it is going to be confirmed for season two, and we are going to come back with Blue Box. Don't know when season two is going to be coming back. Maybe it could come back in the fall. Maybe they want to bring it back in the summertime. I don't know. Well, actually, yeah, maybe the summertime. I don't know, either summertime or fall, or maybe, winter time of 2026. That's when we'll get season two. And again, I don't know. The source material is still currently ongoing. I don't know. So for all I know, season two could potentially be the second season. Where they go with the story, I don't know. Typically with romance shows, they typically do 3 seasons, and it's basically that's how much you can contain. So yeah, but if you're a fan of Blue Box, please put in the comment section if the manga is currently still ongoing, right? Because if it's ending, well then that means they'll have enough content to adapt the entire show. But yeah, in terms of the announcement, I figured this show would get a season 2 announcement. It was a pretty popular show. People do like it, and I heard the manga is pretty popular as well. Just strictly because it is one of the best sports slash romance animes right there. And yeah, so it makes the most sense to do it, especially if typically you're going to do it in a way to where you want to continue more and you want to see this relationship fulfilled. And stuff like that. So yeah, and it's very rare that some romance animes are one and dones because it's like, oh, you got to do source material. But Blue Box is pretty much widely liked in Japan, so of course it makes sense that they're gonna greenlight season 2. So yeah, I thought the way they had handled it on Netflix was great. It does suck that we didn't get a simuldub like some other Netflix animes. But maybe they just felt like they didn't want to deal with a simuldub at the moment, and we'll just drop a dub of Blue Box later on, which there is a trailer of the Blue Box dub, English dub. I don't know when the Blue Box English dub is going to drop on Netflix. I've seen the trailers and the clips, but like I don't know when it's dropping on Netflix. So for all we know, it could drop from like a month or two from now. So yeah, I do hope that Blue Box dub is coming soon because I will rewatch the show in the English dub, and stuff like that. But yeah, but overall, is my hope before I get out of here. I thought Blue Box was a great show and an amazing romance slash sports anime. It was nice to dive into the mindset of Taiki and really understand like, okay, why does he like Shinatsu? Um, but also dealing with this whole thing of Hina and his friendship to Hina, and I knowing that this girl likes me, but I just want to be her friend, and I like this other girl and everything, and then also too just the interpersonal stuff with him and badminton and how much he wants to get really good at that and getting that aspect of that. And I did like that arc where he went through his troubles and then he finally overcame some of that troubles by beating Yus in that practice match. So I think in the second season we'll still get a focus, excuse me, in on his badminton thing. But I think there's one thing that I hope in season 2 that they do. I hope they focus more on Shinatsu and her stuff, because season 1 was definitely a thing that where we focused a little bit on Shinatsu and got some nice moments with Shinatsu and Taiki, but it was mostly kind of building up the Hina character, getting Hina and Taiki's relationship and seeing how their bond is as a friendship to a potential couple, and then the eventual moment where she gets rejected by Taiki, right? And it kind of is a whole build up to that. And that was kind of one of my issues with Blue Box, to be honest, was the fact that as much as I did appreciate the Hina moments, it did make it to the point where you can have fans like, well, then why the fuck is freaking Taiki going after Chinatsu when it seems like she pays him no mind, but Hina basically clearly sounds like she's the better one, right? And that was kind of my issue with Blue Box. That was probably my only issue with the show. Like, they didn't really focus heavily enough on Shinatsu. They kind of made Shinatsu, even though she's the main poster girl, main female character for this romance, she kind of was like played off as a side character, in terms of the romance, where we got some moments between Taiki and her, and we know, okay, that's clearly endgame, but like there's not a heavy focus. Like, there's more of a heavy focus on Hina. Hina was more like, oh, she's the poster girl, right? And Shinatsu was kind of like the side character that for maybe 1, 2, 3 episodes was the main character. I mean, we did get a few parts of the show where they did do have a heavy focus on her and about her and what she wants to do with her basketball stuff and everything, but it was kind of a little bit minute to it. And then plus we didn't get a lot of like internal thoughts from her. Like, the one episode where she was talking to Karen about her feelings for Taiki, like that was one of the few moments in the show like we actually genuinely got her actual feelings when it comes to like dating somebody, actually like liking somebody, aka liking Taiki, and how she actually feels about him in terms of potentially having a romantic relationship with him. Like, we rarely got that. We only got that like one episode realistically in little bits and pieces here and there, and everything, but we truly didn't really get an understanding of like, okay, what's the thing, how much is Taiki maybe inspiring her, to go out there and do that, and that's what's making her start to like him, and it's the thing that I'm saying, like, I hope in the second season we get more of an interpersonal thing with Chinatsu, and there's more of a focus on her. We hear those internal thoughts. We focus on her as a character and her basketball stuff and everything. And we see her feelings start to grow the more she starts to be around Taiki and everything, to the point like her friends can pick up like, hey, I can tell you like this guy. What's going on here? Like, are you going to confess your feelings to him or something? And also, I guess another interesting point is it going to get out that Taiki rejected Hina? Because I think Hina's friend is going to eventually find out, like, at some point, because she's definitely going to be like, okay, what happened? You're acting weird. You're not even talking to Taiki. What's going on? And then that's when Hina's going to have the conversation with a friend, like, he rejected me and everything, right? So Yeah, that's kind of thing. And hopefully maybe it's even, Hina's friend that kind of slaps her out of reality, just saying like, hey, look, it is what it is. You can't have every guy like you, and that's fine. If he doesn't like you like that, that's fine. And hopefully maybe she's the one that's like, well, what's stopping you from still being his friend? Like at least you can still talk to him and be his friend and everything, even though, he did do that to you, but like I don't want you to feel awkward or weird around him and not talk to him because he rejected you. So regardless or whatever, but overall, season one of Blue Box was great. It was definitely one of my at the time in the fall of anime 2024. It was one of my animes that I said I would watch and review, and I truly did enjoy this show. I really did. It was a great show, and I really can't wait to see where the story goes and where these characters go as they grow as characters. Taiki, Shinatsu, Hina, how is she going to recover from this rejection angle? Where is her character going to go? This Ayumi plot line potentially, where that's going to go, and everything like that. I mean, even Haruyu, he's got a little bit of a mini, side story there going on. But obviously, I do hope for going into season two, we have a little bit more focus on the Taiki Chinatsu relationship as we get more moments with them, and more moments with Shinatsu as a whole to better understand her character and even better understand her character of like why she's kind of like, well, I don't have time to date and everything. Again, it could be the whole self-awareness thing. She's just not confident in herself. I mean, we just don't know that. Like, we don't know that. We only got bits and pieces like she's not confident, like, that she has complete 100% feelings for Taiki and she got to fill that out. I think it's just stems from the fact, like, to her, she's never viewed dating as an option. Like she's only viewed playing her sport and just doing that. So she's never had time to actually be like, yeah, let me go out and go get myself a boyfriend or something like that. So yeah, but anyways, that's basically it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Blue Box content whenever it returns or any more anime content I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day or your night watching this video. Till then, guys, peace.